Hi, thanks for joining me today on today's webinar, Sharesight Tips and Tricks. My name is Jess Wright. I'm Head of Partners and Clients at Sharesight. And today's webinar is all about trying to teach you, treating you tricks that you might not know about inside of Sharesight. And I've got a few tips and tricks up my sleeve to show you. And with that, what I'll do is I'll now jump into Sharesight and get started with some of my tips. So I'll start off. I'm just going to jump into to one of my portfolios here, and one of the things that I think is really good to know is about how to kind of navigate seamlessly through Sharesight and get to kind of quickly get between places. So one thing to kind of initially start off is that we've got the tabs at the top here, and you can access these from anywhere inside of Sharesight. So you can kind of jump into the reports from any page, and the page that you're on will just jump down. So it's a nice and quick and easy to kind of jump between reports and go to different holdings. And then when you're in holdings on a holding page, so if I quickly if I jump into one of my holdings, one of the things that obviously you really want to be able to do is quickly jump between different holdings and kind of have a look at what's going on in that holding. So what we can do up here is we can click on the Holdings tab, and up here within the Holdings tab we have holdings that we've recently accessed, so we can quickly jump between those. Or what we can do is we can search up the top here and then click within those, and that allows us to quickly jump between different holdings. We also do here have a next button, so next holding, and what that does there is that will that will kind of go through your holdings in alphabetical order, so you can kind of jump between holdings that way as well. So those are kind of the easy ways to jump between holdings and kind of quickly get into the settings or reports. So the other thing kind of along the navigational side and kind of performing actions in Sharesight, one of the big things that we have to all do as Sharesight users is confirm any unconfirmed transactions. And obviously we can do that inside of the holding page from using by clicking on any of the unconfirmed transactions. So click on edit, and we can individually confirm any unconfirmed transactions. So unconfirmed transactions are transactions that Sharesight has automated for you. So when you first uploaded your holdings, if it's a holding that pays a dividend, so you receive an income from it, Sharesight will automate all of that for you. And what you need to do is verify and confirm these to make sure that your portfolio is accurate. And you can do that kind of individually, as I've just shown you here, and you can edit any of the information if you need to adjust it. Or you can also use this confirm automatic transactions here, and that will kind of bring up a bulk for that holding, and then you can confirm them there. But if you want to, once you've kind of done your setup process and you've been using Sharesight, for a few months or years, depending on how long you've been with us, you just want to come in and verify the ones for a particular period, be it last month or the last few months. And a good way to do that is to use if we go up to kind of the reports, is to use the taxable income report. And this is a really good report. Obviously it's really good at tax time because it lays out all of those dividends that you receive. But what you can do is if I select the date range and I just say this past year, just say that I've not been doing my Sharesight admin, if you like, and I've got all of my my dividends here. What I'm just going to quickly do is take off some settings that I put on earlier and just apply that, and I'll talk you through those settings in a moment as well. But here what this does is it lists out all of the dividends or all of the income that I've received in the period that I have chosen. And you can see here any unconfirmed transactions have lightning bolts on them. Okay, and if you hover over them, they'll tell you that they're unconfirmed system created dividends. And what you can do from here is you can click on those and then verify any of this information here. So you can go through it again. You've got the ability to change any of this data. You can add fields. You can also, if it's a a stock that's on every other market than ASX and NZX, you could also set up the dividend reinvestment here. The reason that you don't do that for the ASX or NZX is because we've been able to source the data for those. So there's another setting for that to be all automated for you. And I can show you that later if anyone's interested. Just let me know through the questions. But as I said, so here what I can do is just kind of click in here and click confirm, and I can slowly work through all of those dividends that are unconfirmed, which is a really nice and easy and effective way just to work through everything that's in my portfolio of those unconfirmed transactions, instead of having to kind of go through and look and go into each of those individual holding page. The other thing that I want to show you on this taxable income report is if I go into the advanced options here, I've got show comments and show holdings total. And I'm going to click on that show holdings total first and click apply. And this is a really good tool because if you've got holdings that pay out multiple dividends, which most of us do throughout the year, what this feature does is it does a total per holding. So here you can see CSL have got have paid me 2 dividends within the period that I'm looking at, which if I just show you is past year. So here you can see that I get a total for that holding. The other option that we do have in advanced settings here as well is show comments. And then again, that's any comments that are on those dividends that you've put in or that have been generated. And just so to show you what I mean by that, I'm just going to click on, and I'm talking about this comments box here. So that's some really nice tools with it, using the kind of the taxable income report in a different way than just using it at tax time. Use it to kind of make your admin load easier because you can see your entire portfolio all in one place. If we keep within the reporting section, I'm just going to jump into, the other thing actually on kind of the taxable income section that I wanted to talk about was, and this only applies to anyone in Australia. So if you're not in Australia, please do just bear with us very quickly while I just show a feature in the taxable income for just Australia. If we set this to last financial year, what that does is that brings up some other settings. Okay, so for any ETFs that you hold, Sharesight has built a prorated form for those distributions. Okay, so dividends, ETF dividends are quite complicated because of all of the components that are within those dividends, and they're a real complex time at tax time in Australia because you have to kind of break down all of those 5 distributions that have paid throughout the year, and kind of those you get a statement that's really complicated with all of those components that you need to break down. And Sharesight's done all the hard work for you. What we've done is we've built this form. So if you do get a statement, you can kind of then fill in these components. But what we have done is that we have worked with a lot of the ETF providers, and registries. So we've worked with Computershare and BetaShares. So that includes Vanguard, ETF Securities, iShare, BlackRock, BetaShares, Russell Investments, and we've also got STW, DJRE, IFRA, and AAA in there as well. And what I mean by that is we've uploaded all of those components inside of Sharesight, so all this work is done for you. And we're also currently loading up VANIC as well. So kind of watch this space, and that's going to make your tax time in Australia much easier on those ETFs, which is that really challenging part. So to have access to that, you need to just make sure that you have the taxable income report set to the financial year. It does need to be in a tax residency of trust, and then you also just need to have that accounts active options set up with that show total, and then you get that feature there. Also, if I scroll down, the other thing that you do get in Australia is that taxable return. So we've done that for you as well, just to make tax time really, really straightforward. So that's just that. As I said, that was just specific for Australian users, anyone with Australian portfolios. The rest of this, don't worry if you're not in Australia, it is going to be kind of general tips and tricks. And please do kind of fire over your questions as you have them, or if there's anything else that you've kind of been wondering about in Sharesight. So keeping on the reports front, I'm going to jump into the all trades report here. And keeping on that idea of kind of, the admin load in Sharesight. So, the big thing as a Sharesight user to make sure that your portfolio is accurate is make sure that you've got all your trades in and confirm any automated transactions. So those dividends or any corporate actions and things like that. So here, if we jump into the all trades report, this is a really good way just to make sure that you're getting all of those trades, or all of your trades are up to date inside of Sharesight. So what you can do is come in here and you could put this out to kind of whatever date range that you wanted. So again, I'm just going to look at past year. And here, this will show me all of the trades that I've done within that period. I can then also go to advanced options and I can say include adjustments, and I'm going to apply that. So that will be any of those corporate actions. So for example, here we've got that Apple split that Sharesight automated for us. So this is just a great way just to make sure that my portfolio is accurate and up to date with all of my trades and adjustments. So I can just quickly come into here, set that to that date range that I just want to check. It's much easier than kind of, again, having to go through all of those holding pages and check, jump into Vanguard and check that the latest trade is in there. Okay. Then if we kind of keep on the report theme a bit more, a report that I really like and I find incredibly useful is the contribution analysis report. Okay, this is a report on our expert plan, and what it does is it shows what's really contributing to your portfolio and what's not. Okay, and what makes this really powerful is going into groupings and clicking do not group. So what this does is it breaks down, it itemizes all of the trades within that portfolio, and then you can see here what's accounting for the losses within the date range that you've selected, and what's contributing for the gains. So here again, I can put this to the last financial year, or what I could do, what I'm interested in doing here, is setting this to March of this year. So I'm going to kind of change the date range, and I'm going to go from 1st of March to today. So I'm going to look at kind of that effect of COVID, what it's had on my portfolio. So it's just loading now. And here you can see what stocks have kind of been affected and kind of what's affecting my performance and what's not. And it's a really, really powerful tool here. We can also then have an itemized list of all of the stocks as well. Then I'm going to jump into the performance report, and I'm just going to show you a few features in this performance report here. So this is very much like the portfolio overview page, but with a few differences, because we do have some additional settings in here. So you have the ability to do that custom date range again. So again, what I could do is we now actually have past year. So but I could again do it from March the 1st to today. Sometimes it's just quicker to go there, to go today, and then it will readjust. So that's an option that I have that I don't have on the portfolio overview page. The other thing that I have in the performance report is this filter and this labels feature. So what this feature does is it allows you to filter on the performance report. So what we could do is we can set up different labels. So for example, it could be broker A, and then what I can do is I can select all of the holdings that I trade with that broker. And it could be an advisor, it could be however you want to kind of break up your holdings. So I'll create that. Then I'm going to go broker B, very original here. And then I need to unselect those, and then I'll select the ones that are with B and create that. And what I'm now going to do is you can see that it creates a color, a colored circle. So I'm going to close this. And then in here, what I can do is instead of just showing all of my holdings, I can jump in and I can just say, okay, I just want to look at the performance of one label. So just for me, that was the broker A. And here I can just see the total performance for just those holdings and also kind of an itemized list. So it's a really good filtering tool. Okay, I'm now going to jump to the overview page and just kind of point out a few features on the portfolio overview page that we have that sometimes I think go a little bit go missed, or sometimes people don't kind of notice the knock-on effect that they will have. So one of the big ones is the date range here. So the date range here, you can select from any of these kind of within this list. And the date range affects everything below it. And this menu bar does scroll with you. So as you can see, it's currently set to since first purchase, okay? And that means that all of this summary bar here is set by that, and all of the stocks as well. And if you notice here, if I just push this out to in the last week, all of those calculations will change because it is that date range is affecting everything below it. And you'll see that now I haven't really received very much dividends because that's the only dividends I've received this week. So that's just something to remember. And one thing that what happens is if you do kind of move around Sharesight and move into other portfolios, that date range will carry over, will be within this portfolio. So just to think, sometimes if you're kind of looking and going, the calculation's not right, check that date range. It is kind of one of our big hitters within the support team that they get questions on, and usually the culprit is that date range. The other thing to point out is we have lots of graphs, so you can visualize your performance. You can also, if you choose not to have a graph, you can hide it. That is an option as well. I'm a big fan of the performance graph because I really feel that shows me kind of data that I need. It also allows me to use that benchmarking tool. So I can benchmark my portfolio against an ETF. We really recommend benchmarking against an ETF because it is a direct comparison. Instead of selecting the stocks that I selected, I could have bought into that ETF. So that would have been a direct comparison. They also pay, depending on the ETF you select, they pay dividends. So it really is a direct comparison. The other thing to know is this graph is quite busy. So if I just kind of wanted to break it down, what I can do and hide things is I can just click on the keys and get rid of those points from the stock. So here I could just look at their benchmark and my portfolio. So my portfolio is that orange line and the benchmark is that blue. And then if I want to bring them back, again, I just can click on them. So I could, if I just wanted to compare, say, the three of them against each other, or I can bring them all back if I wish. So that's a really good kind of, for that visual part of it, it's a really nice tip that I like there. And then the other thing to note is that the groupings. So how you organize your holdings, and the groupings work across Sharesight. So they work in, as I kind of just showed you in the reports, they're in all of the reports, they're on the portfolio overview page, and it's set how you organize those holdings. So if you scroll down here, you can currently see that I've got it as basic allocation. And this is what we call using this custom grouping feature. Okay, and what that allows me to do is organize my holdings however I wish. So here I've set up the custom grouping, and then I've set up the categories, and I've just organized the holdings like that. Okay, I don't want to mess with it, so I'm not going to fiddle with it, but it's just really straightforward, and you can always add more categories, and then you can also use the drop down here and create new custom groupings. Depending on your plan that you're on, you get a different number of custom groupings. So for example, if you're on Sharesight's free plan, because we do have a free plan that allows you one custom grouping, but our premium plans, they allow for more. And it's a really good tool to allow you to organize the holdings however you think about them. So it could be allocation, or it could be kind of about how you kind of view them in terms of the investments. So for example, if I jump back to my portfolio, and a quick way to do that would be to, you can come to here, or you can go up to the top, and I'm just going to click on, it's the right one. Here, if I click on listed and unlisted, you can now see that is reorganized my holdings. The other thing to note here is that those labels, that color is those labels feature. Okay, so and then we do have obviously other groupings that, you know, we have market, sector. We also have that do not group if you did wish to do that as well. The other thing I want to show you is if we and scroll down here, you can see currently I'm showing value, and we have a toggle here, and I can toggle that to show percentage. So I can kind of quickly flick between percentage here, so you can now see we've got percentages, or I can toggle back to value. So that's nice and easy. The other thing to note here is show open and closed positions. So open positions are positions that I still hold, and closed are things that I've sold out of. I don't think I actually have any holdings that I've actually sold out of, but if I have it set to show open and closed positions, what that means is that any that I have sold out of will appear in this list. So if you, again, when you first kind of signed up for shares, kind of put your data into Sharesight and you're like, holdings are missing, that's one to check. Just check that, you know, you've not sold out of the position, and you need to have it set as show open and closed positions. Okay, we've had a question come through about they want to see the average cost they paid per share. So unfortunately, you can't see that on the overview page. But what you can do is if you jump into the holding, and on the holding page here we have a number of tabs, and here we've got this holding information tab, and this is where you can see cost base and cost base per share. So that's where you can find that. You can also find the current value and the current quantity. While I'm in this, in the kind of holdings tab section, the other thing that I want to point out is this, the current price. So this is where you can see what the current price is and when it was last updated. So inside of Sharesight, ASX and NZX have 20-minute pricing delays. All other markets are close of day. So you can see that that was the close of day. Okay, so we've talked about kind of kind of keeping quick ways to kind of take some of that admin of Sharesight. So confirming your dividends and checking that all your trades are coming to Sharesight. But one thing we should touch on is how to make sure that how to get your Sharesight portfolio up to date. So we do have integrations with a number of brokers, and there's some more that aren't there currently. CMC, Bank of Queensland, Bendigo, they have built Hatch, they've built integrations to us, and every time you trade, they push in the trades. If we don't currently they haven't partnered, your broker hasn't partnered with us, not to worry, because we do have this feature called trade confirmation email. And what this feature does is it creates a unique email address for your portfolio. And you copy that and provide that to your broker. And every time your broker sends you the trade confirmation, so when you trade with your broker, you'll get a document, so usually a PDF outlining what stock you bought, how much you bought, what price, or sometimes it might just be in the form of an email. And Sharesight supports over 170 of these, and you can click on here and that will take you to the supported list that we have. One tip here that I would say is do Control F, and that brings up find, and then you can quickly search for to see if your broker is here. That's a nice tip on the help center for you there. But if we don't currently support your broker's trade confirmation, don't worry. We are always building Sharesight for everything, but particularly like contract notes, we're continuously building the support for them. So send us examples. Send us as many examples as you can of buys and sells. We need to also have the email address that they come from and the subject title of that email. So if you can forward them on to support, so send them over to support@sharesight.com, and we can see if they've got the information that we require to support them, and then we can build support for them. So once you've checked that we have your broker, so what you do is copy that email address, provide that to your broker, and every time you receive an email from your broker with that trade confirmation, your Sharesight portfolio will receive that trade confirmation as well. And from that document, it will kind of screen read it and pull out the data. So it will pull out what stock it was, how much you bought, what price and when, and upload that automatically into your Sharesight portfolio and attach that trade confirmation as well. So it's a really great way to keep your portfolio up to date and also store that trade confirmation so that Sharesight's your record keeping solution, which is really fantastic. One, if you're anything like me with bits of paper, I'm not the best with them. I lose them, I spill tea on them. It means that they're nice and safe inside of Sharesight. Also, it means that when I share access of my portfolio with my accountant, everything is already there for him. He just logs into Sharesight through his own login, and I don't need to send him any bits of paper. I'm not paying him to key anything into a spreadsheet. It's all done for him. So it's a really great tool for multiple purposes. A couple of features to point out is that you can set it to alert you either kind of every time something goes in or just when error messages are. And you also have the ability to view the inbox of that email address. Sometimes things can go a bit wrong with the trade confirmation, as if the format of the document has changed. It's sort of using kind of facial recognition. So remember the days when we used to travel and get on planes. If you ever used the passport control where you scanned your passport. And you kind of stood there and it took a photo of you. Well, and it didn't work because your hair was different, or you had glasses on, or something had changed on your face. That it's kind of using that. So if something kind of moves, if like the logo moves, or they've changed the way the table is, that can throw it off. So what needs to happen there is we just need to rebuild the support for it. So just kind of, again, contact us. We do have an alert setting, but there's no harm in kind of reaching out and being like, hi, my contract notes are failing, my trade confirmations are failing. So that is a really great way to keep your portfolio up to date automatically. It is really easy to add your trades yourself. You just need to click on enter a new trade and adjustment in the particular holding, and then you can just select what buy or sell it is. So that is kind of the manual way that you can do it, and some people do prefer doing that. Sorry, just reading a few questions as I go. Okay, so we've had a question about cash. So can transactions automatically show in cash account? Yes, so we have two cash account features. So we have a zero connection, so you can see that here. So we have a integration with Zero cash books, and they feed into each other. So we feed, Sharesight sends across all the trade data, so your buys and sells and your dividends, and then Zero will send over the cash. So that's one way, and that's a really good way to get bank feeds into Sharesight. We don't have a bank feed functionality. We're very big on the ecosystem, so Zero do that really, really well. So we work with them on that. On our cash feature, what we have done is we have built for the trades and dividends to kind of sync with it. So if I quickly show you how to use that. So you can create, I'm just going to jump to the overview page and then jump into add a cash account. And then here we've got this manual cash account, and you can set it to whatever currency. Currently, if you want them to sync, your currency of your portfolio needs to be the same currency as the portfolio. Sorry, the cash account needs to be the same currency as the portfolio. So if I just put here, trading account, and then create new accounts. And then what I'm going to do here is, this is all set up. So one thing that you do need to do manually, there's no spreadsheet importer for this. I just need to quickly add transaction, and I'm just going to add a deposit. So here I'm just going to add what I started with, and that was back in kind of whenever you did it, and then just add that. So I'm adding that first deposit. And then what I'm going to do is jump up to settings. Remember, we can get to this tab wherever we are. And once you've added that cash account, you get some additional features that pop up here. Okay, and what we've got here is we've got apply cash account accrual. So that's just if it takes a while for the money to kind of move around. Mine doesn't, so I'm not going to tick that. And then what we've got here is trades cash account. And if you hover over it, it gives you a description. And what that means is that the trades will automatically flow into this cash account. So what I can do is select the trade, the cash account that I want the trades to flow into. And then payouts cash account. What that means is it's those dividends. Payouts in our developers world is the dividends and distributions. So I'm just going to again click trade account and then click save settings. And what that will do is it will jump me back into my cash account. And here I now have this manage syncing trades payout. Okay. And what I can do here is what I want to do is I want to click, I want to go from since inception. And that's a new feature that Ben, the product manager, has jumped in after some feedback I gave him. So thanks, Ben, for that. So here, that's put it from the first inception of my portfolio. So then what I can do is I can now click sync trades and payouts. And what that's going to do is sync all of the trades and all of those, any income that I've received from this portfolio into this cash account. So yes, they do sync, and you can see that here. Okay, so any payouts that I've received and any trades. Okay, questions are flooding in now. This is great. Okay, so we've had a question about share purchase plans. What's the best way to update them? So currently, the best way to do that is manually. Generally, they don't come through your broker. So there's no. If they do come through your broker, obviously you can use any of the kind of the trade confirmations. You could also use the if it's an API. Partner, sorry, a partner that's kind of connected to Sharesight, you can use that. But generally that doesn't work with the share purchase plans. So you just need to add them manually. So as I said, that's really straightforward. Jump into the holding that you get those trades from, that it's the holding for, and then just click on enter a new trade adjustment and add that by trade in there. Okay, so a few other questions that we've got is about DRPs, so dividend reinvestment plans. So dividend reinvestments, you can do that. It depends on what market it is within. So if it is a ASX stock, so I'm just going to jump into a different portfolio. So quickly you can jump between portfolios by just clicking up the top here, and I'm going to jump into my portfolio, and I'm going to go into the holdings because I find it much quicker, and I know Westfarms, there we go. This is one that I have a dividend reinvestment scheme for. So here you can actually see that I have set it up, and how I did that was on the holdings tab, and this is for any ASX or NZX stock, okay, because we've been able to source the data of the dividend reinvestments. So here what you do is, I'm just going to turn it off for a second so I can show you how it works. Scroll down, I can turn it on, and then I get this pop-up message. You say turn on. There's help pages so that you can read more information about it. If we scroll further down, here I've also got the DRP settings, so I can round up, round down, round to the nearest, round down, and track the balance. So I can do all of those settings. And the way it works is it automates them for me. So again, they're unconfirmed transactions, and I just need to do the same as I would with a dividend. So that's how you do it for an ASX or NZX market stock that allow dividend reinvestments. And then if it's other markets, so for example, if I did it for the Royal Mail, I personally don't, I'm not sure if they actually allow it. But what you would do here is you jump into that dividend that you did, and then you click on dividend reinvestment, and you type in the number of shares you received and the price that you got. So you just need to manually add that, just because we haven't been able to source the data as of yet for all the other markets. While I'm in here, the other thing to note is you can add comments and upload documents to every trade, any adjustments, any dividends, and you can also add them to the holding here. So Sharesight really can be your record keeping solution, which is really fantastic. Okay, let me jump into some more of your questions. Consolidated view. So from the portfolio menu here, you've got create consolidated view. And then from here, I can just put AU, I'll just put AUW for now. And then I can select when I want the financial year to be if I wanted. But what I can do is then just select the portfolios that I want to put in. I don't want to put that watch list in because, as I said before, it's not my wealth. And then I create that consolidated view. And what you can see here is you can see that I've got all of the portfolios in there. I've then got a broken down list of multiple of all the holdings, and it tells me which portfolios they are in. And if I click on those, that does take me to that portfolio as well. But again, I can jump into here and click on that consolidated view. You can run a number of reports in the consolidated view. So you can run any performance reports. You can't run any tax. The reason for that is that you can't. We see, as I said before, we see portfolios as tax entities. So you can't put multiple tax entities together and then Sharesight do calculations on them because they're all working differently. Okay. Right, what else is on my list? The other thing to say is, and a question, this kind of comes up quite a lot, particularly in Australia because of SMSF accounts. What you can do is if you go into my details, under my details, this is where you can change your name and your email address. You can also, and your password. But we also have this functionality here for organization name. And here, what that allows you to do is if you add an organization name, it will appear on the invoice. So that's really good if you want. So for example, in Australia, you can have your SMSF pay for Sharesight, pay for your Sharesight subscription. So you could add that there and then it would come out of that. The other thing to point out is we have this this beta feature. So that means that you get early access and you kind of test some new features for us. So that is available there, and that's a toggle. So you can toggle between that. If you change any settings, just make sure you click save. The other thing that we should talk about is viewing Sharesight on kind of mobile devices. So on your mobile phone or on your iPad or things like that. So we do have a mobile app. It's called Sharesight Reader. And what that is kind of, as the name suggests, it's a reader of Sharesight. The thing that we're working on a lot is making Sharesight more accessible on a mobile device. So what I'd really recommend is on your mobile phone, rather than going into the app, go into the browser. So depending on, I'm an Android user, so I go into Google Chrome, and then right there, then kind of go into your URL. And type in Sharesight and log in via that. And we've done a lot of work, and we're continuing to do lots of work on making Sharesight more accessible in a smaller screen. Obviously it's a tricky thing because the great thing about Sharesight is how much kind of tools and functionality and data it has. But we're really working hard for that to be accessible on a small screen. Okay, and then lastly, I suppose I'm looking through the questions, and I think I've answered a lot of them. The other thing that that I'm just going to point out is we have recently launched a Refer a Friend scheme. So if you are enjoying using Sharesight, please don't keep us a secret. You get a link that you can share with your friends, and it's kind of a win-win on both parts. They get a percentage off a subscription, and you get some credit towards a subscription. So it's a really great tool, a great feature for you just to kind of to share the knowledge of Sharesight to the world. Other than that, I think I've answered most of the questions. If I haven't, unfortunately, I've got a really long list and I'm kind of flicking through them, and I think I've answered most of them. I'm also run over time. If I haven't answered your question, I'm very sorry. But please reach out to us at support@sharesight.com, and one of the friendly support team will be happy to answer your question. Thank you very much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time. Particularly if it's anything, the weather is anything like it is here where you are. It's glorious outside, so thank you for joining me. But other than that, have a lovely rest of your day and enjoy using Sharesight. Cheers.